Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Haviland. This is the second season of Lay of the Land Weekly Impact. And this is a series of shows we're going to do. We're going to roll them out in a big hurry that looking at the Smart 50 award winners. The first conversation I'll be releasing is one with Ray Leach, someone I've had great admiration for a very long time. Really kind of like an Uber entrepreneur in the area. You might know him best from his many years at Jumpstart, but now he's at the O.H.I.O Fund, probably the most innovative new type of fund that there is out there. There's a great Lay of the Land episode that I'll link to below that you should go listen to that talks all about what they're doing and how they're thinking about it. A lot of innovation there. I think that's what makes them smart. But please enjoy my conversation with Ray Leach. All right, welcome to Lay of the Land Weekly Impact. This is the Smart 50 2025 edition where we're talking to the honorees of the Smart 50 and trying to figure out what makes them all smart. So Ray, obviously you are well known to pretty much everybody in the entrepreneurial community here in Cleveland. You have a fabled career. I know when the O.H.I.O Fund started, I was good. Ray's in charge of that. So congratulations. I know you had a great year, your first year out. From your perspective, though, tell me what. Well, let's actually give you a moment to give yourself the arc. So I know you. Gosh, I don't know how long I've known about you. It's like 25 years, something like that. So give me the arc of the story of like going back before in the
Sure.
1990s. What the heck were you doing then?
Oh yeah. So my first business I founded in the mid 80s.
Okay.
When the Macintosh first came out and
I remember
desktop
those.
publishing was invented, and its impact to the pre-press industry and of course graphic design and all that. So it was really a systems integration business that I owned for 9 years.
Ray, we never talked about this, but my first business when I started when I was in college was teletypesetting using on an Apple II. In a compiled BASIC.
Oh yeah, yep. I get it. I remember those days.
Yeah.
So really, the first 15 or so years of my career was all as an entrepreneur, an operator. And so it's involved in multiple businesses. One of the businesses, my founding business was number 4 in the Weatherhead 100, back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
I remember going to that dinner, not even knowing we were number 4, just like showing up for the dinner and like, oh my gosh,
you're kind of busy. You're kind of busy running a business.
Yeah.
Right?
So I've always been an entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was 22. So, but even before that, I was involved in entrepreneurial things. So, to me, what I'm doing now is really just the next level, particularly on the investing side. So this is, in some ways, has some of the similar challenges and issues of any startup.
Sure.
But on the other hand, certainly having 35 years of experience and have made a lot of mistakes and made some progress has certainly provided a kind of a roadmap for what could make sense for the O.H.I.O Fund.
Well, and I'm going to have you give me your version, your 2-minute version of what makes the O.H.I.O Fund different. But I want to postulate that part of what I like about the O.H.I.O Fund is that, and I've been saying for a while, that we can't do venture creation the same way they do it on the coast. Where Ohio is different. We got to go with what we know. We got to embrace the culture that's here. So we needed a different way of building businesses, a different way of funding businesses. We're not going to have 20 Googles coming out of Ohio in the next 20 years, and that's okay, because we're going to do really great basic things in a great way.
Sure.
If we like Eagle,
Right.
It's a great business. It isn't sexy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to go 100x, but it's going to be great.
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, there was a time where Ohio was a center for capital,
Sure.
At the end of the 19th century,
Yes.
and the first decade, the first generation of the 20th century.
I tell the story all the time.
Ohio was very much a center for
it was the San Francisco of its time, really.
Yeah. Capital for innovative ideas.
Yeah.
But over the last, 50 to 75 years, while, Northeast Ohio has a very robust private equity ecosystem for sure. And I've, focused on, maybe toiled in the venture capital side for 20 plus years. I think with the O.H.I.O Fund, what I'm excited about and what I'm seeing happen is there's a tremendous amount of wealth and capital in the state of Ohio whether that's with high net individuals or family offices or corporations or foundations or institutions. And that group as a collective, as a group of investors, really has not had a logical, integrated network to
Yes.
be able to invest in things all across the state with the number one objective being return.
Right.
And, the O.H.I.O fund is not an early stage seed investment fund.
Right.
It is focused on
It's not an angel
investing.
fund.
It's not an angel fund. It
Yeah.
is investing a third of its capital in real estate, a third in growth equity, and a third in tech companies in Ohio. But those tech companies are well down the path. These projects are typically raising anywhere from $10 to $100 million.
Yeah.
So
these are all, we talk about product market fit. These are all scale dollars.
Correct. These are dollars that are enabling scale. So they have a much lower risk dynamic. The other thing too that I think we're really interested and excited about, and we're seeing progress, and that is, while we have a tremendous amount of wealth in Ohio, most of our fund managers do not have large, significant established relationships with that capital. So with the O.H.I.O fund, we're going to create a mechanism where we can demonstrate we can be 100% focused on Ohio, which, by the way, is almost $1 trillion economy when you look at the whole thing. So it's not like a small economy. Right. We can aggregate capital, invest in deals that our investors are bringing us, but also obviously invest in deals that we're aware of across the state, generate great returns, and basically make it cool to invest in Ohio again. Investing companies in Ohio, and our investors who are all across the state are super excited and motivated to invest in the entire state.
Yeah.
So, of course, we have investors from all across Ohio.
Sure.
Their money isn't going only to the region they live in. It's going all across the
they've
state.
got a portfolio approach like everybody should.
Right.
But like I said, I think that's, for me, when I was excited when you announced the O.H.I.O fund. I was excited to see Jeffrey end up there because it's a good place for him.
Absolutely.
But because I think that the two things that the unlocks from my perspective are a very mature and Ohio culturally Ohio approach, right? Mm-hmm. So with the land resources in it and mature companies, so and then the right people. I mean, it was really, there's nobody out there, selling some big dream. You're all operators,
right? Yeah,
and the dream is to make reasonable returns at a reasonable timeline. That's like something that even the most conservative second, third generation money can say, okay, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I do think, timing is everything. And certainly post-COVID and everything that's going on in the world, let alone in the country, we felt like now is the perfect time, as there is so much disruption in terms of the global economy. Ohio, the best location in the nation, the neutral to less onerous challenges brought to us from climate change. There's huge parts of the world that are really challenged by that. We're less so. Obviously, we have this huge workforce here. So it's interesting, as somebody who was kind of born and raised in Akron, grew up, spent most of my career in Northeast Ohio. There's some things inside the community, inside the state, that really haven't changed all that much. It just so happens that now it's in favor. But then when you add on the increasingly positive business climate in Ohio, lowering of taxes, I think we've had a real pro-growth approach for the last decade. Just the timing of all this, we think, is really fortuitous. And certainly from the investments we've been able to make in the first 16 months, we're really, really bullish.
Well, it's not just low taxes; it's infrastructure positive, right? So that it's I spent a good bit of 10 years in Washington State, which is very different political environment, but they had this notion of no taxes for early stage business. Yes, go start one. And if you lose your job, don't go get another one. Get a good job, right? And this whole notion that our whole point is to build entrepreneurship as a structural reality. So tell me a little bit about. So obviously you have a super long career and really building things, Ray. So I got to imagine you've got some great nuggets when it comes to leadership. As you as a leader, what do you go to are the core things that you think?
Well, the first thing out of the box is, and it's maybe trite or repeated often, but is the people. That at the end of the day, particularly if you're trying to take on something that hasn't been done before, or something that's going to be really hard, try to surround yourself with people that are smarter, have the same, if not more, energy, and can share in the vision. So
Yeah.
the first piece of it, I think, is people. One of the other areas that I think I've spent more time on in the last certainly handful of years is, I've been involved in a lot of things that are really hard. And sometimes you get kind of addicted to the really, really hard thing.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I think as I've gotten older, I've been able to circle back to say, well, is there something I could do a little bit differently that could make this a little less hard?
I can have one hard thing at a time. Let me everything else has got to stay in the not hard part.
So so I think that is reflective by the mission and the purpose of the O.H.I.O Fund. Yeah, I could spend the next 10 to 20 years really focused on super early stage, high risk things. But at the end of the day, in order for that ecosystem in any place, including O.H.I.O, to change, we need a lot more private capital in that segment of the economy. And I, unfortunately, was not able to do all that much to dramatically increase the amount of private capital in Northeast Ohio or Ohio really interested in early stage things. So a big part of what the O.H.I.O Fund is about is how can we build trusting relationships
100%.
with investors so that they, because the O.H.I.O Fund is starting with the current thesis that we have now. That doesn't mean it won't evolve. We're also investing in other funds. So this, at the end of the day, this is how much capital can you aggregate? And certainly, one would think conceptually it's going to be easier to convince Ohioans to invest in projects in Ohio than it might be others. So I think a lot of it is just really like keep asking the question why. If something's hard, you have a first answer why. Well, why is that hard? Why is it that hard? And keep asking those questions. And to me, some of the stuff is really simple, and we overcomplicate it.
Yeah, I agree completely. I've been quoted recently on LinkedIn a couple of times, telling my story when I lived in Seattle about how part of the entrepreneurial journey there, because in the 90s, it was a special time. It was a very odd time because no one knew where the next thing was coming from. So you could get a meeting with anybody, literally anybody, because you couldn't get a second meeting, but you get a first meeting with almost anybody. But also, everyone knew that if I built something, there's some, I can go sell it somewhere. Everyone at Microsoft knows they can split out, go do something and come back. And the same thing's gone for Amazon. I mean, everyone in the ecosystem there knows that, hey, I'm going to go try build something. And, that's a much better way to build new things.
Absolutely.
And I don't know that we haven't still conquered the notion that falling short of our goals isn't failing.
Yeah, I would agree. We haven't got all the way there, but we have made progress.
Yeah.
Certainly in the last 20 years, I've seen a lot of progress. Obviously, a lot of things have changed here. A lot of things have changed around us, but we're headed in the right direction. Another kind of premise of the O.H.I.O Fund is that the next 25 to 50 years are going to be the most prosperous years in the history of the state of Ohio. And we believe that premise just because not only of what's happened here culturally in the state, but also what's happened around us, not just in the Midwest, not just in the United States, but across the country. We have huge advantages here, which maybe haven't been fully appreciated or realized, but I think we're coming back into favor. And we're really, really excited to see how investors, our partners, are concurring with us, that they do believe there's a belief in opportunities in Ohio today that I haven't seen in my
it's more
last
than just
20
hope.
years.
We have reason to believe. We've got evidence is there. It really plays into that Jim Collins notion of return on luck.
Right.
Right place, right time is pretty good.
Sure.
You can be smart all day long, but
luck is that's the best thing to have for sure. If you can get a lot of luck, then it can move yourself along that much further, that much faster.
So Ray, I've been asking everybody that's come in. And by the way, the people thing, everyone seems to agree with that. It's like it may be. I mean, I love the fact that everyone talks about people in ways that finding the right talent, talent density, Netflix concept.
Right.
I love that. But it's been universal across the people that have been part of this series. But tell me about, part of it is like internal mentorship. Who have been your mentors? Who are the people you go to and say, that person really changed my perspective and gave me the lift I wouldn't have gotten any other way?
Yeah, well, if I had to call a single person out over the last 20 years, it would have been David Morgan Thaler.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So David, who's been gone now almost 10 years, but was a pioneer in the venture capital industry.
And was impactful up until the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I was with him weeks before he left us, and he was teaching me, training me, challenging me in the last few weeks of his life. And he was in his mid to late 90s at the time. So David, I think not only was he incredibly insightful and experienced and knowledgeable and was a great investor, but also an operator, but he also cared so much for Cleveland, for Ohio, for Northeast Ohio, for our community. So I've had many mentors over the years. I could, name drop another half dozen or more, but David probably has made the biggest impact in terms of how I've spent the last couple decades.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, his impact will be felt for a long time. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
I remember being broken up when he passed, because I'd only barely met him. I hadn't really spent any time with him, but I could see what he was doing and greatly appreciated it. Well, good. So, any other earned wisdom? What would you say to the Roy Leach, 20, 30 years ago that would get you here faster, or just would keep you from making some of the what our friend Jeffrey likes to call earned wisdom?
Yeah. Well, the younger version of myself was probably wanting to, maybe thought I had a better idea, or that I had the unique insight, or that it was something that was unique or special about my point of view and perspective.
Right.
That was the secret sauce. And that's, in my experience now, that's rarely the case.
Almost never, yeah.
So I would say, what I would say to my younger self would be focus more on people and relationships. And also a big one is don't hesitate to reach out to people that you feel are, you might feel like an imposter in front of. So I've had many occasions over the course of my career where I had an opportunity to reach out to, an iconic business leader, and I chose to do it. But I've had probably more where I didn't choose to do it.
Yes.
And I very much regret that I didn't reach out to folks, because, people are people, even if they're 5, 10, 20 years older, or, 5 million, 10 billion, or $1 billion richer than you, it doesn't mean that they're not interested in maybe what you're working on. So a big part of my advice is to myself today, but to others is, don't hesitate to reach out to folks that you think can deliver a unique and valuable perspective, either to the problem you're trying to solve, or to your career.
Right. I think the great leaders all have a level of humility that makes it, them appreciate the question.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like, I learned something. I hadn't framed it that way.
Yeah,
right? So,
absolutely.
Great. Well, Ray, thank you so much for spending the time. I know you're a busy guy, and thanks for the work you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim. It's an honor to be part of this group.
Great. Thank you.